For many families during the holiday season, the arrivals of Amazon trucks with gifts and decorations is quite commonplace. Though what started as a book sales company slowly crept into every retail vertical, and now cars are the next frontier for Amazon. Joining us to discuss is Lauren Fix, automotive expert with Car Coach Reports. Good to see you, Lauren. This isn't a future state. Amazon is here right now, selling with two of America's best-selling manufacturers. So tell us what they've already accomplished.
Well, you're right, Carrie. One of the interesting things is last year we saw an announcement from Hyundai. Jose Munez, who is the president, is now the president of the global corporation, at the time was just the US, made a huge announcement. And everyone was like, oh, okay, you're going to sell cars and they geolocate you and you could pick up your Hyundai at your local dealer. Well, we've now stepped beyond that. So in the meantime, Amazon, which we all know has done a real number on the electronic stores, used to go to Best Buy and all that. Yes, they're still there, but certainly not the large footprint they used to have. They're now doing Amazon Auto, which they've been selling parts for a long time, but now they realize there's billions of dollars in the referral business. So they have made a deal with Ford and their certified pre-owned cars across the country. If you're looking for a certified pre-owned Ford, all the inventory for Ford Motor Company will now be on Amazon. So that's interesting. You think, oh, okay, it's not a big deal. But if you take a step back, you can see what they're also doing. And through contacts that I have, they've reached out to AutoNation, CarMax, all the large dealer groups on the US basis and saying, hey, we'll take your inventory and post it as well. So when you're online thinking, maybe I need a new car, because remember, they track all the information. They know what you're looking for. They know what you're saying, whether it be your phone and everything. They take that big data and they say, hey, Carrie, you might be interested in this new fill in the blank. So you're thinking, well, that's great, but maybe I want a different brand like a BMW, like you're showing right now. Well, not a problem because they're going to start making relationships with other brands and brands that don't want to necessarily comply because of franchise dealers. It's not a problem. What Amazon will do is apply for a franchise in that state. Once they start doing that, it's only 50 states. Amazon has the cash. They only need two or three brands. They already have Hyundai. But now all they have to do is add on maybe Ford, they already have a relationship, and maybe BMW or some other brand. And suddenly all the brands are going to want to jump on board, much like Tesla. You buy the car, you get it delivered, or you pick it up at a dealer. The dealers will be used for delivery, repairs, and collision parts and so forth, but not for sales. And that will hurt local dealers. That will definitely hurt other brands. Then you're thinking, okay, that some people don't like dealers, so I get that. But let's look at a slightly larger picture. The referrals. The referrals means that the dealer or the brand pays whoever refers. So currently, if you go to cars.com, you say, I'm interested in this vehicle. Maybe you read a few reviews and think, yeah, this is the vehicle I want. They would send the referral to your local dealer. You go there, make a deal, and that dealer or that brand would pay to whoever did the referral, whether that's cars.com, Car Gurus, Cox Automotive. There's a million of them, Kelly Blue Book, Edmunds, there's a bunch of them. But if you take that cash flow away, it's billions of dollars and it goes to Amazon. He will now, or they will now, own the whole funnel. In other words, the whole sales process could eventually go through Amazon. Now, some people have said to me when I posted this story on Sunday evening, well, that there's going to be antitrust laws. They're not going to get everyone, and some brands will insist on sticking with the franchise laws. But for you, the consumer, that limits a lot of things. Negotiations, where you buy the vehicle, where you service it will still be your choice at this point until they figure that out. But what's interesting is this could destroy a lot of companies, such as the ones I've mentioned. If they don't get that referral cash, they can't afford to pay their car reviewers. That means the reviews come from you, whether they're good or bad. Like anything, everyone has a good or bad experience. This will literally change the whole automotive face of car reviewers and all those sub brands that are out there. Like I said, Car Gurus, Edmunds, everything. They could literally go out of business without that cash flow because they won't have cash flow in order to pay their bills.
Yeah, there's
Very interesting.
a lot to unpack there. You've
Yeah.
touched on a couple of things from a couple angles. I do want to get to the
Yeah.
dealership part, but I want to start
Mhm.
with the used car market. And you mentioned, Amazon has obviously a big piggy bank. They can come in. We saw it with the acquisition of
Yeah.
Whole Foods as a way to get into the grocery store chain
Hmm.
vertical and get a national footprint overnight. But the
Yep.
internet changed the used car sales experience because, as opposed to just going to your local lot, you could go to those websites like you mentioned, and you could find
Mhm.
cars, in a three-state radius if you wanted to widen the net,
Right.
and that would then, as you
Yeah.
mentioned, refer you to a local dealer. But
Right.
with the advent of like Carvana, we're already seeing this vertical approach where you can get a national car brand deliver a car right to your driveway. So, how does Amazon entrance into the used car market, how does that affect how the consumer will source and then ultimately take ownership of a used car?
Right, it's definitely going to change the footprint. Now, anyone that's seen Carvana, and there's been other ones like Vroom, which is now out of business, you look online, you decide this is the car you want. Maybe you've read a few reviews, looked at some YouTube videos, and you think, yeah, this is what I want. You can purchase it and they would deliver it. In the case of a dealer, and I've done this myself over many years, if you pay for it online, you've got your insurance all in place and your registration, they could deliver a car to your house. That's been done for years, especially with premium vehicles. Or you could go pick it up at your local dealer, but that's really going to hurt your local economy, because what's going to happen is your local dealership that gives money for jerseys for your kids' sporting events or charities, that will definitely hurt the local dealers because it's jobs, because no one will be selling the cars. There might be one person to do deliveries, but they'll be doing just service and maintenance. That's a concern. But for consumers, this is something they're already comfortable with. I mean, we've all done that. I'm looking at buying a television. I'll check on Amazon. I'll look at the comparative prices. I'll look at the reviews from people that own it, whether they like it or not. And then you make a decision. You purchase it on your credit card, which you wouldn't be able to do that with a car. But for a used car, you'll be able to do that as well. I think it's something that it will not remove companies like Mecum Auctions, Craigslist, Facebook Market. Those places they won't own. But from the dealer's standpoint, it will certainly change the whole foundation of what the auto industry is now and how consumers purchase new and used vehicles.
Yeah, and let's go into that now, the dealership side of this. So it seemed like I'm sorry, Tesla took the first shot
Mhm.
across the bow in disrupting what was
Oh
a
yeah.
manufacturer and local franchise model. Of course, you mentioned CarMax and sort of this roll up of these national car brands, but typically the dealership was kind of like a locally owned family business, and then Tesla comes and they do this vertical thing and they really disrupt the way that cars go from the manufacturer to the consumer, and the or the manufacturer relationship with the end customer, from
Right.
shopping through maintenance and service. So how does Amazon then fit into the retail sales model?
Well, that's all excellent information, because you are correct. People are used to gotten comfortable with Tesla. You order it, it's like buying a phone. It comes to your house or you pick it up at a service center. For something like Amazon, what they're going to do is they're going to take the inventory that's already listed, whether it be new or used cars, and they're going to have them posted. So you're looking for a black car that's got fully optioned, it's got to have silver wheels or whatever that might be. You can find that vehicle. Amazon can geolocate it in your area, and then they'll deliver the car to you. All the paperwork can be done online, or you can just go to the dealer and pick it up. What it does do, it eliminates the test drive, which I highly recommend if you're buying a new or used vehicle that you take it for a test drive. I mean, there are very few exceptions. If you're buying a Porsche 911, okay, you kind of already know what you're buying. That's an exception. But for the everyday driver that most people have, SUVs, cars, and pickup trucks, you have to take it for a test drive. You have to do your comparisons. And that's going to be something that could be eliminated, much like Tesla. They do have showrooms in local malls, but there's a couple cars out in the lot you can test drive it if you can find the local Tesla dealer. And this is what Rivian's doing, it's what Lucid is doing. And so when you look at this interesting picture on how it's changing the dynamics, we have to remember that franchise laws have been around since the early 1900s. This could change franchise laws, because it would be easy for Amazon to say, we're now a franchise for all these brands in all 50 states. And they would then expand into Canada and Europe, where the laws for franchising are much lax in comparison to the US. We have very strict franchise laws that protect the local dealers. But if you think about the fact that they think they can take a big chunk out of the US market and make that funnel of referral cash, think what happens if they go to Canada, all over Europe. You've got Spain and France and the UK and everywhere else. And you start thinking, wait a minute, they could own the global automotive footprint. It won't happen overnight, but you can start watching it unfold pretty quickly.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like disruption is afoot. I will note that my
Yeah.
son and I showed up at a Tesla dealer, and we were out in about 15 minutes with the Cybertruck. Didn't buy it, of course, but it was a fun afternoon for sure. But going back to disruption, Amazon and other businesses like Uber, they've disrupted incumbent business models, and they always argue against local lobbies that they're giving consumers more trust and convenience. In some respects, Uber, knowing that, if you leave something in the car or if there's a safety concern, there's a digital trail. But I also had an experience with a third-party seller on Amazon, and they stood by me, and I was able to get my refund super easy. So there are a lot of benefits to the consumer for big companies going into what might be considered markets where you're dealing with local personalities, and there's the old sort of analogy of going to the car dealer lot, and you're worried about information asymmetry, getting scammed, having line items that the car salesman knows is just cash in their pocket. So what would you say to consumers who say, hey, you know what, I trust Amazon, I don't really trust the local car dealership?
Well, that's true. A lot of people do trust Amazon. I mean, I bought things and returned things. The return process is super easy. You just go, in my case, I just go to a local Kohl's or some drop off point, a Whole Foods, and you can return pretty much anything. Sometimes they tell you don't return it, which always blows me away because I think I want to return it. But in the case of a car, the dealerships, in most cases, I used to be a dealer trainer. So we train the dealers on how to communicate with customers. In 90% of the cases, I would say there's some fantastic dealers around the country. However, there are some that are questionable and salespeople that don't follow the training procedures. And there's also people that, and dealerships, whether they be new or used, have all this paperwork fees. I'm sure there'll be paperwork fees, and I'm sure there'll be some sort of split between Amazon and the final delivery. But there's things like loyalty discounts and conquest discounts. Those are the kind of things that should be automatically added. Like when you check out at Amazon, it'll say, oh, there's a coupon that you missed that was a digital coupon, and they just add that to it. They could offer that, and that would certainly give a leg up to Amazon, saying, hey, I see you owned a Toyota and you're purchasing another Toyota, so here is the $2,000 credit you would get if you walked into the dealer. Consumers would love that. So it's going to be up to the dealers locally to start seeing this coming. And although I no longer dealer train, the first thing I'd be telling them is, remember, your number one competitor is going to be Amazon, and they are very, very good at closing the deal, which is something that not all salespeople are good at. And then, of course, they don't have the layers of, well, let me talk to my manager, let me take you to the finance and insurance guy, known as the F&I person. And so they're all going to have to change the way that they sell cars to communicate with consumers, because when you don't have that buffer in the middle and you're just buying online, again, unless you can return it, which cars are going to be a lot more difficult than returning a television or a toaster, it's going to create a shift in the whole automotive industry. And if the dealers don't change and the brands don't shift to what the consumer wants, I have a feeling they may not be around long. And there's already a bunch of brands that I'm already questioning whether they're going to be here in the next few years. And we'll see how they can pull a rabbit out of their hat, literally, to survive in the new economy.
Well, I've never seen an Amazon logo on the back of a Little League jersey, so dealerships certainly have their place in the local community, and I hope they take your advice, figure out how to serve the customer, because competition is coming. Appreciate your expert advice always. Lauren Fix from Car Coach Reports. Great conversation.
Thanks, Carrie.
If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this, and check out our car review channel, Car Smarts. You can support me by buying me a cup of coffee, and if you want even more content, check out the links in the description. I'm Lauren Fix. Thank you so much for watching.